From China and Italy presided over the signing of billions of dollars worth of investment deals. And during informal talks on Wednesday, China and the European Union agreed to step up cooperation to fight terrorism and extremism in the Middle East and Africa, although no details have been released. Among the leaders attending the summit is German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who has just hosted Vietnam's Prime Minister. Merkel says the dispute over the waters of the South China Sea will also be discussed in Milan. The German leader says the issue is also significant to all EU countries, especially when it comes to strategic shipping lanes. China claims sovereignty over a large part of the South China Sea and rejects rival claims from Vietnam, the Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, and Brunei. Vietnam is among the countries emphasizing that the dispute must be solved in accordance with international law. Earlier this year, China hauled a giant oil rig to waters nearby Vietnam, touching off a firestorm of protests. Meanwhile, in a move bound to renew friction, Taiwan has announced it's considering permanently stationing armed vessels on one of the disputed Spratly Islands in the region. Taiping is the only island in the Spratlys large enough to accommodate a port, which is currently under construction. Taiwan currently has troops stationed on the island, which is administered by the Coast Guard. The port, which is expected to be ready by late next year, would allow naval frigates and Coast Guard vessels to dock there, making it a permanent home to armed vessels. James Aiken, TVB News.
A second nurse in Texas has contracted the Ebola virus after caring for a Liberian man in Dallas who died from the disease. In this case, however, the woman flew between Dallas and Ohio before being diagnosed with the disease on her return to Texas. Alan Booknear reports.
The nurse, 29-year-old Amber Vinson, was transferred to a specialized hospital isolation unit in Atlanta, Georgia, that has already treated 3 Americans who contracted Ebola while in West Africa. It's reported that while she had a mild fever when boarding the plane, it was below the threshold set by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. But the head of the CDC said she still shouldn't have flown.
Because at that point, she was in a group of individuals known to have exposure to Ebola, she should not have traveled on a commercial airline.
The CDC is asking 130 passengers who were aboard the plane to call a hotline, but think any transmission is highly unlikely. A mix of worry and dismay gripped passengers at the airport where Vincent arrived.
That's the scary part about it, not knowing, you know, and we're getting all this information minute by minute.
Bit by bit.
And it's really conflicting, and it's making you wonder, you know, is it safe to even, you know, get on any of these planes going, you know, anywhere?
In response to the latest case, U.S. President Barack Obama vowed that his administration will be even more aggressive in combating the spread of Ebola.
We're going to make sure that something like this is not repeated, and that we are monitoring, supervising, overseeing in a much more aggressive way exactly what's taking place in Dallas initially, and making sure that the lessons learned are then transmitted to hospitals and clinics all across the country.
Obama warned that in an age of frequent travel, the disease could spread globally if the world doesn't respond to the raging epidemic in West Africa that's already claimed almost 4,500 lives. Alan Booknear, TVB News.
At least 20 people were killed in avalanches and blizzards along a popular mountain hiking trail in central Nepal. Most of the dead were foreign trekkers, and the death toll is expected to rise. Several people were rescued earlier today. About 70 people are still missing along or near the popular Annapurna Circuit, 160 kilometers northwest of the capital, Kathmandu. The route was filled with international hikers because October is the peak trekking season, when the air is clear and the weather is cool. There were also many Nepalese out on the trails because of local festival holidays. Officials say it could take days to dig out all the bodies. In Mexico City, a student protest turned violent when mass demonstrators smashed the windows of a government building and lit a fire. The students were protesting against the disappearance of 43 students from the state of Guerrero. They've been missing since September 26, when municipal police officers attacked the buses that they were traveling in. Mexico's Attorney General said none of the missing students corresponded to the remains of 28 bodies found in a mass grave discovered on October 4th. Protesters chanted and threw stones at the Attorney General's office. 50 people have been detained in connection with the case, most of them police officers. All right, Chris, I understand you wrote our sports today, so I know you know what's going on.
Brought me in for a little extra duty, and we start with round one being done at Fan Ling, and Jyoti Randhawa of Italy leads this year's Hong Kong Golf Open. 6 under par 64 has him one shot ahead of Angelo Kay of the Philippines. It's tight though. 9 golfers are 2 shots back, and that includes South Africa's Ernie Els. Martin Keimer prevailed in the Grand Slam of golf over Bubba Watson. This